Think of it as in terms of a stick of dynamite. Doesn't matter how long the fuse is or how short the fuse is, eventually the fuse will go out and kaboom, it's going to explode. So how do we do that? Oh, what I do is I talk to the second person point of view, which means it's just you and your thoughts. That's what the second point of view is. So acknowledge the situation. Right. Someone has hit your car, your babe. I call my car my babe, based off of the pig from the movie Babe. Someone hit babe, and realize that you're mad about this. Someone hits your car. You're very mad. Now is not a good time to lash out, or now is not a good time to release that aggression kind of stuff, because the other acknowledgement is you're in the middle of something. And if you do it now, you'll be in big trouble. So what I tell myself is hold into all that aggression for at least 10 more minutes. Just 10 more minutes. And you can do this. You got this. Tell yourself that's not constant, to encourage yourself. That's it's like just 10 minutes after the event. It would be a much more appropriate time to start not exactly lashing out, but also kind of process about what goes on for your car and all that kind of thing too, and just take care of it later and all that kind of stuff too. So that's one of the strategies I was kind of encouraged on concept too, to acknowledge what happened, realize how you feel. Now is not a good time to work on about this. Wait for a certain amount of time. Give yourself a time limit, whether it be 10 minutes or an hour, anything like that, and be sure you finish what you're doing. And then take the time to process, and also kind of, in a way, vent out your frustration. It can be just anything, whether it be, an art project, or maybe punching the bag, or doing a sport, or even playing video games, that kind of stuff too, or just do something that kind of gets out all that energy and all that kind of stuff too. For me, I kind of comically said, in my house, or in the room, when no one else was there, I just comically screamed, "My babe!" My babe! Because I really like driving that car. It's like when someone hits your car, I'm sure all the car enthusiasts out there would be generally upset. And it's okay to be upset and all that kind of stuff too. We are not always the kind of people that say hold it in the entire time, which of course it's okay to hold it just for a little while, but eventually it will explode. Think of it as in terms of a stick of dynamite. Doesn't matter how long the fuse is or how short the fuse is, eventually the fuse will go out and kaboom, it's going to explode. And the thing about dynamite is also knowing that it was the first invention that won the Nobel Peace Prize, and for good reason. It's like wait a minute, explosions and peace, how's that going hand in hand? Well, the reason why is because it was much more easy for prospectors in the quarries to dig out their gold or their precious metals and that kind of stuff. And dynamite was a good way of making the job much more effective. So I asked the audience, what would you consider be your quarry, quote unquote? That's could you release that energy? Could you release that dynamite per se in the baseball fields? Like you have all this built up energy that's full on rage, and you can just take it out on the baseball field and just slam that ball way out of the park. And that's a really good way to explode very properly in that sort of way. So you can use it for sports, or even at the gym, where you can just do a good killer workout, with loud music, energetic music, and all you gotta do is just run or do the weights, and you're a big marathon. See, that's another way of exploding properly. So there's all these amazing alternatives in knowing how to set the dynamite up. And for self-control, self-control is like the very first step before you start handling the dynamite with care. It's like you don't want to in a public full of people. Otherwise, that may wind up some injuries here and there. So you might as well save that dynamite. While the blues is still lit, you gotta carry that over to the quarry, or to anyone, or to a place that's making the dynamite that much more useful in that sort of area. So that's the way I kind of see it. It's like I always encourage the viewers out there. I just say, what are your dynamite moments? And dynamite is such a cool word. And what is your quarry? Like, what is your way to expand much more effectively? I guess you can say too. And we can always share about that too. I've always kind of noticed that there are people out there that just say hold it and nothing else. Well, I kind of I'm just going to go ahead and disagree with that. So it's because you have to explode. That's all there is to it. Whether it's and you got to learn how to do it effectively, or not effectively, but properly and safely. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And this whole topic is really about self-regulation and skill set. Oftentimes we have to give our children license to have a break and be able to ask for that. And most likely they're going to ask for it in the most inopportune time. We oftentimes can push our children to the point to where they do break down, they do melt down. And we want to be, aware of that. And that's really important. Mm-hmm. But it really does start with that self-awareness. How am I feeling? And then can I pause before I react?